started. First and foremost, thank you all for being here tonight. And then I'm going to ask something that I know is taboo this day and age, if you'll actually put away your cell phones and your laptops. Some of y'all look at me like that's a terrible thing to ask. I know, I apologize. But we'll be filming it, posting it on the Gullah Geechee Island Coalition page later, so no need to record or do anything along those lines. Always welcome to talk with people after as well. I appreciate that. So we are here tonight for a relatively historical event. I don't know that a head of state has spoken at UF in any event. So it's very cool to have the honor to introduce the Queen this evening. We have a number of different departments that have helped put on this event, from the Department of Sociology and Criminology and Law, to Latin American Studies, Tropical Conservation and Development, to Land Use and Environmental Change, to Linguistics, the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program, Anthro, and then lastly, the college class as well. So I wanted to thank all of our sponsors for making this happen. Additionally, I don't know if you can tell with the wide range of different departments that I just listed that there's a lot of different angles you could approach this topic of the Queen's speech from. Foremost, from whether you're talking about climate change, development pressures, cultural disappearance throughout the Sea Islands. There's a lot of different reasons why people are here tonight, and I think the Queen will speak to a number of different ones. Further, given what Field Order 15 did in creating a unique and vibrant community throughout the Sea Islands, I think that this event is as needed as ever. And further, Queen Quet, Chiefess, Head of State, is the descendant of 2 Gullah families, homegrown from St. Helena Island, South Carolina. And the first of the Gullah Geechee to speak at the UN, where she will be going back to speak later next week, actually. She just left one event on the West Coast and will then be off to speak at the UN again later next week. So without further ado, I give you Queen Quet.
This your time of year, y'all. And I'm chilling in the bed on the coastline. Then I see what? The hell is them did I see? Then I, yeah, they didn't crack thing. What the other some people that say, you think what a kind. You think what happened. You think this and you think that. But then I stand tall. That when I can do that kind of thing and think, say, you know what I'm going on. And go out there. Hell, you know what I'm going to tell you? I want to know right here. And that's why when we added that, so I saw one at that tree around by the river water. Sure not, you know. Well, we know what means that thing for we. Or like the elders would say, and they're true people in the island, Jacksonville, North Carolina, Jacksonville, Florida. Then we meet them for evil. Go! Meet them for good. We ain't been. Don't stand tall when you leave like an issue. But that's what people will say. Ha! Just live. And great God, I tell you the truth. We don't live all the time. Anything. Well, we be little. Ain't for us to deal. But rather was we in the area. Because plenty of time we before us had no bridge and things like that. Much less all these cracky things what the bridge doesn't bring in. You see, when people have looked down like this, they would have looked on one another now. And cracky is the dear Lord. But he's straight, he knows something. But if you turn off that thing when they look down and ask him something, he can't answer something. You say, good evening to him, he look like this. Afternoon, Nick. Good evening. He said, well, him. But they can't talk. He used this here now. So he wonder if he ain't use God give him for use all of this here, but making anything, then how much he use this here? Cause see that one part go and everything would be upon him. And what come out, that one gonna go ahead. But if one ain't a speaker, where you to live? So plenty of time when people are coming there where we did and things like that, they can't understand. How come we did there on the porch like this here? And they did it at the top. When there ain't no stormy thing to coming, and it says stormy thing to coming. We said, huh? We said, William, well, y'all even know what we know? What? You ain't gonna do that. What you gonna do? When I get hold back red, show me. When I get hold back wind, show me. So we have one going to. You act like then when we were little, I had one story about one chicken. And we call that joker Chicken Little. And him in the run to tell everybody all the time, the sky falling. The sky falling. The sky falling. So one day something is going on for truth. One thing grabbed that joker like this. Ain't nobody come for him at dinner. Because him in a story too long and things like that. People ain't understanding. People every time they come for help him, ain't been in with him. So for we in the chicken and we ain't little. So ain't no need for do all that bunch of making up all that noise in y'all. Be still. Study on yourself. Let's just tell me. And pray. Grab God, and when you do that, it gets all standing. You see something you ain't expect to see. And that thing, you know just what to do. You know just who to go in yonder and get them and put them together. You know just who to call upon and make sure they got things together. And you know just who he's a highland for one. So we have to be around that. Act like that other cracky people. Who been the cracky one who come in and tell me in the first place that when we been the cracky people like that this year, so we be fooled. And he said, for true? They said, yeah, we saw it. Well, how come when we talk down like this year, I can't understand me, but we sure can talk your way and our way, but so how come we the crazy ones? But that's what people have said. Generation after generation. About my people of the Gullah Geechee Nation, whether they were in the Carolinas, Georgia, or Florida. As soon as they heard their accent, as they called it, but is it an accent or is it a language? Because see, the accents just change when we all speak in the same language, but we have different tones to it. Like I could have brought up in here and seen and said, hi, y'all. And nobody would have a problem with that. But I come here and say, hold on, children, they're doing things like that. What? So for years, people said we had no right to speak the way we were speaking. So what many of our people did was stop speaking to them people who said it. But that didn't mean we stopped speaking to each other. So then when all these other people had to set up all these electronic devices to do what we do naturally, create networks, And then they pay bills for their network. We sitting on the front porch chilling with some shrimp and grits, wondering what's wrong with that. Because we knew what they got to look down here to find out days ago. Because we were still in touch with the earth itself. We were in touch with God, and God spoke to us and told us, this is what y'all going to need, and this is when you're going to need it. So you might as well go on and get ready, because something about to happen. Now, you may not get all the specific details, but neither do you on the Weather Channel. You get this prediction that go this way, this prediction said this one, and this one go this way. And then what do you do with all that? Interpolate. And then surmise that we assume that because they all happen to match up at this particular point, we'll design that as the direction in which the storm is headed. However, there are going to be days when, we have to take into account the wind is going to shift, the tides are going to shift, the temperature now is added, so that line will become the cone of uncertainty. But people are certain that what they said is what's going to happen. But when Gullah Geechee say, well, that might happen over there, but it ain't going to happen right here. How do they think that they know? They're just emotional natives. That's a direct quote. The fact that many of us emotional natives don't just always dress like folks expect, because I know most people expected me to come out with a sweetgrass basket, if not sewing one, at least carrying one. We said, Lord, take put top my head and things like that. They didn't expect me to have shoes or anything, I know, because that's usually what you've seen about us and all of that, and to have the apron. He probably didn't expect the fact that I could speak this language. But ¿qué pasa con esta ustedes? I can speak a few. But now, did they want me to? No. Somehow they thought that all of us needed to be amalgamated into one thing. But I say, when you try to melt that pot, that's the real cone of uncertainty. You have a glob of something that you don't know what it is in the end. See, I'm more of that salad girl, and maybe that's why I still love my apron and love going out in the field, because see, harvest season just ended, but I don't mind picking tomatoes. You understand? And then when I go on yonder over here, I can get me a lettuce over here and get the lettuce in the middle. Then I go in the next row and get me some cukes and things like that. But see, if you come over and you want the salad and you ain't like cukes, don't throw away my cukes. You ain't got to eat the cukes. You ain't got to hate the cukes. Just leave the cukes there. Eat the tomatoes and the lettuce. I prefer the salad bowl to the melting pot, because at least you have distinction still in that salad bowl. But it's still one salad. You don't call each individual thing in the salad something else. It's still a salad. It's one thing. But there's uniqueness and flavor from each one. Color from each one. I don't speak things that I don't want. I'm thankful that the majority of my life, I didn't need these. I just got these less than a month ago. And the doctor said, for real? This your first time? Yes. And it's probably because of the pollutants y'all got in there now that I need them now. All right? And so here it is that I love seeing an array of color. And that's even on the people. So when folks say to me, I don't see any difference, I said, let me get away from this liar right now. I don't see color. What's wrong with your eyes? Talk to me. What's your particular condition called? And why is it that you would think that all of us, even if we're Southerners, are exactly the same? That tells me you sure don't see and you sure don't have understanding. So until we start to understand that other people have things to contribute, we'll always be trying to blend them and melt them and change them and shape them into something we want them to be instead of what God sent them here to be. And we will be eliminating community after community after community, culture after culture after culture by doing that. Instead of saying, Well, if this section, the Gullah Geechee section, and them people over there, the cracky deep like this, and I understand, I'm tall, stay over your section where you understand. That's all. Ain't nobody mad. But don't come to our section and say, y'all don't have any business talking like that over here, because us over here don't understand you. But literally, corporal punishment was issued to Gullah Geechee people for speaking our language. So for years, no, we weren't inside the hollow halls of institutions of higher learning. Many of us spent entire lives working in agriculture. And now that has become such an insecure industry because of the changes in the climate and the changes in the mindsets of people who are programmed to believe that the greatest industry that's existing now is technology. I'm a computer scientist, and I'm telling you, don't get programmed and fall for the okie doke. Because you ain't going to eat your computer or your cell phone. So the greatest industry out here is going to continue to be the food industry. But while you look on your device and look at the pictures of the food, somebody is in a laboratory like this one trying to make food instead of in a field, planting seeds. So we're losing the real treasures. The things I recently spoke about with people in Santa Rosa, California, the heirlooms. Many times when we think of family, we think of the things that family can pass down. You know, many of us who go to church and grow up in the church, you see that sister, that brother come to church every Sunday with that hat cocked to the side. And you say, you know what, you need to give me that, and you can't have my hat now. When you will leave me that hat, okay, I gonna leave you the hat. Meaning, when they on the cooling board, then you can have the hat. But you better lucky if they churn don't want the hat. Because if they churn or their sister or brother want the hat, you going to miss out. But they passed it down. And they treasure it. And sometimes they don't even want it to wear. They want it to be there for that energy, that spirit, to be right there with them every day. For them to still feel that power that they felt every time they saw that person. And to remember the words of wisdom they shared with them. Because that hat was covering where that wisdom was coming out of. And sometimes they feel like if they could just touch it, they might hold on to it. But I'm telling you, while you got your elders here now and you got the people who literally live from the land, you better take it in here so that it'll be in yours. Because touching it ain't going to get it. It got to touch you here in a stage. So when our elders told us, you know, study yourself now. Study for yourself. They didn't mean for us to go in the classroom. They wanted you to take your tail right on that front porch or underneath the tree someplace and go on and sit your tail down for a little while. You don't need nothing with you. You don't need nothing to look at or nothing. Just sit. And I know that is a prison sentence for some of y'all right now. To tell you don't take nothing with you, but go sit on a porch and you feel what's there. Hear what's there. Smell what's there. But if you didn't, maybe it wouldn't take cancer clusters to happen before you realize something's wrong in the atmosphere. You would suddenly go, wait a minute now. They taking something away? Or they putting something in here? Because I've been here all my life and I ain't never smelled this putrid odor before. Where's that coming from? And then you could get up from where you were and try to go find out what's going on in there. But see, when you stick close to the land, they don't last for years before you figure it out. That happened in 1 week and everybody around the island go, hold it, now hold it, y'all smell that thing? Where did it come from? Somebody have to find out. You got fishermen that get in boats and get out there on the creek and can row out and can go check and see what is that. You got the folks who go out and collect the herbs from the earth itself. They're going to tell you, I got an idea where that's coming from. There's folks that hunt that'll say, you know, when we were down this road down here, I told them boys I smelled something. And they told me they wasn't sure. I said, something funny going on. And then you'll find out. Sometimes someone that's coming to the community dug out sand because they want to mine it now. They want to further strip the community of resources that are needed to sustain a sea island. How you going to have an island without the sand? And what part of the fact that we are already on an island that you can't understand that you dig down the island and what you're going to hit? What's an island surrounded by? Water. Oh, y'all saw the answer, Lord. Let me What's an island surrounded by? Water. Water. On how many sides? All sides. And a peninsula is surrounded by where?
3 sides.
3 sides. Praise the Lord. Thank you. Thank you. You brought some healing over the church. So here it is that if you know you're already in a place surrounded by something, what makes you think that you need to dig to find it? Go to the end of the shoreline and it's right there. Or wait till it rains. And when it rains, as they say, sometime it pours. And over the past week, it's been raining, it's been windy, it's been flooding. But is that now on the Weather Channel? Oh no, because it's not a weather-related event anymore now, because the news said there's a typhoon somewhere else, so we need to talk about that. We don't need to be talking about y'all no more. Florence is not the news now. We ain't gonna get ratings to continue to talk about how y'all gonna rebuild. Who might still have their houses going underwater? What Gullah Geechee churches are now in jeopardy because the waters are still rising? That is not news. Because them ain't the folk that own the sponsorship companies that pay for these ads when we do have a massive event. So we got to move on to something that some other folk might be interested in. Y'all ain't got to keep covering the funny talking folks down there on them islands, if you cover them at all. Because if I watch television about the same place where my people live and have been since the 1670s unto today, I wouldn't know we exist. And I wouldn't know that it's my people in Wilmington, North Carolina right now that had to figure out the same way my people down in Louisiana had to figure their way out, and my people down in Mississippi and Alabama had to figure their way out as water kept coming in their house to figure out how can we go higher. How you go higher in a one-story house? Ain't but so high you can go. You get to the roof if you can. But how your elders who live to be 80 and 90 and 100 years old going to navigate water and get to a roof, now what do? Well, y'all shouldn't have stayed. For real? So you had the money that was going to help us leave. And how long was we going to stay where we were going? And how comfortable and secure would we have been had we left with you 2 people, and then we left 150 people that's still our first cousins, aunties, and uncles back there, not knowing where they went. So if we going somewhere, we all are going together. Ubuntu. And they say, if you want to go fast, you go by yourself. But if you want to go far, then we go together. So Gullah Geechees have been able to thrive and survive in the midst of people trying to destroy us, in the midst of having hurricanes and storms. They are not new. They were here in the 1600s. They were here in the 1700s. They were here in the 1800s. They were here in the 1900s. And there wasn't no TV, much less no app. but they found a way to apply themselves, to connect themselves to the earth itself, to feel its vibrations, to pray, to get the energy, the power, the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding that would direct their steps and tell them what they would need to do to survive, to thrive. So when water came in, they could go to the higher buildings, the most sturdy building. You could have 25, 50 cousins up in the house together. If the chickens and stuff in the yard didn't make it, you caught them as they were going by. You cooked them the whole storm. You had that because you ain't had no refrigerator yet, as we used to call them Frigidaire. Had ice boxes at first. Now, if the lights go out, Chicken Little's back. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. Oh, it just was a power surge. But you done tweeted to the whole world, you about to die because the lights went off for 2 minutes. So could you imagine not having electricity for 2 weeks? How about 2 months? How about Puerto Rico? So we give thanks for being in so-called the modern age. But if we have to survive like our ancestors did, we're thankful that our elders taught us how. So we know how to go on to the creek show with one cast net and thing like that, forget something down for it. We know how to get that jar and thing out that pantry back yonder and thing like that, that wee house or day in the yard, and there they dry long so it's full of food. So that you don't have to run to the supermarket. That's why y'all don't notice a whole lot of Gullah Geechees on them news stories of people be running over each other with them carts and stuff, preparing for those storms. Because we try to always make sure the family can eat. We were not just kidnapped and brought over here from Al-Kibulan that you call Africa by the hundreds of thousands to millions of people for nothing. We were scientists in the motherland. We were healers in the motherland. We were agrarian people in the motherland. We were architects in the motherland. We knew what to design, what to construct, what to do. That's why many of us got kidnapped. And now, what are the environmentalists doing? Studying what enslaved Africans did here along this coast and figuring out the same trunks we built for the rice dikes are what they need now when the storms come. They're using the same technology in many of the public lands, and they've only rebuilt the dikes that held back the water from this stuff that most of y'all yet about that we grow, Carolina gold. Yeah, we grew a whole lot of rice, and yeah, we'll still eat rice for breakfast, lunch, or dinner if it's cooked right. You don't give us no half-cooked raw rice and nasty stuff and think we gonna eat it. Somebody might don't tell you to your face, but they ain't coming back to your house no more. And so rice, sea island cotton, and indigo became the three cash crops that built not only the infrastructure of the Gullah Geechee Nation from Jacksonville, North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida, but the sale of our knowledge, encased in what they called black gold, black cargo, the exploitation of the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding that the Igbo, Mandinka, Malinke, Yoruba, Gullah, Geechee, Mendi, Temni, Fiki, Bibio, and other Africans that were brought to this land, who then became the allies of the Kusabo, the Yemisi, the Cree, the Adisto, who blended together, who got labeled not their own names. First they start calling us slave. Then they start calling us this N-word that some of y'all folks use that I don't appreciate in the least. I don't care which way you claim you spelling it. It's not a term of endearment at any time. All right? And therefore, they say, they work harder than the red men we found there. The Indians, as they call them, we found there. But the Indians worked hard to beat them back off this land. And when the Africans joined with them, they said, these people are unconquerable. And they started wanting to exile us. They used the word Cimarron, and they named us Seminole here. And in other islands, we got called maroon from that same word, but it always means the same thing. This is a group they couldn't beat down. This is a group they tried to enslave and couldn't keep them in there. How dare them? But they never wanted to tell you that the headlines at that time that would have been on your Twitter feed today was this one line. There are more Negroes in this war than there are Indians. So the term Seminole, I know in Florida is all kind of stuff, team names and all kind of street names and all kind of stuff, food packaging and all of that. But it never shows somebody that looked like me when it should. Because you had the Africans and the indigenous Americans who not only worked together, many of them intermarried and then produced children and produced warriors. Still fighting for Ho'oponopono land and Ho'oponopono culture and things like that. When I go on out west and things like that, they call them Black Seminole, Afro Seminole. When I go on in Mexico, they call them Muskogo. We also have people in the Bahamas. We had some people in Cuba. And so here it is that all of us, when we relink today, are still relinked over the same thing, land. Now, how do you keep your family fed from it and sustained by it? When in one place, like Texas, where some of our people are, it's flooded. And in another place, like here in the Carolinas, it's flooded. What do you do? As I always say to people, we pray and we stay. Because if our ancestors knew what to do, before they had devices telling them something was coming and causing their heart rate and their blood pressure to go up for a week before the thing ever arrived, somehow when that smell in that air changed and they saw them clouds moving, they knew just what to do and when to do it and how quickly to take care of it. So we have no excuse whatsoever not to be prepared for what has happened, where people are marketing insecurity to you in order for you not to fight for security. The real security don't come from the Homeland Organization in Washington, D.C. It comes from your spirit and how you feel about who you are, where you are, and your ability to remain in the future and have your children, your children's children remain in the future. So food security I hear about when I'm at the international talks, but I don't hear it on the news in America. So people say, well, what is that, Queen? Well, when waters flood farmland, you might not be able to plant that land for a while, if ever again. Because salt water don't go too well with farmland. If you have a situation where you had industrialization along a waterway, and now they never told you that they had processing plants for their chemicals and their runoff and their things that come out of that plant, and they usually pushed it off into little ponds that they call retention ponds, and they also call some detention ponds. All right, I think a few people who create them need to be detained, but that's another story for another night. They'll tell you that, and then all of a sudden, when they hear the storm is coming, you find out about those things. You find out they exist, and you go, wait a minute, I didn't know that was there. What they worried about? What they're worried about is that that stuff is not for human consumption. So now if it gets into the water, because the tides start to rise so much that that water flows into those retention or detention ponds, water seeks its own level. You can't determine where water's going to go. Anybody in here ever spill something in your life? Could you control where it went? You wish you could when you knew your mama was going to get you, right? You wish you could be like, no! And it just stopped right there, right? No, you realize how much 8 ounces is if you spill a cup on the floor. So imagine 80 gallons, 800 gallons, 8,000 gallons of poisonous, toxic, chemical-filled coal ash water coming into the rivers in North Carolina, and then somehow these people tell us we got it contained, it's not going to hurt the humans. Really? And the rivers are rising, doing what they always do. There's a high tide, there's a low tide, but then there's the king tide that we used to call a spring tide. Cotton used to be king, but now it's the tide that is, because it's taking over the land. When it rises, it's covering causeways and roads and other things. And now you gonna tell me that with a harvest moon coming in, with all the water that saturated the earth already because of a hurricane, that it's gonna rain, and then they saw another depression out there, that whether it became a storm or not, they said it was gonna bring rain again, and you mean to tell me that you gonna tell us you got it contained? When I can't contain 8 ounces of water if I spill it on the floor. But that's the propaganda campaign. Because they don't want to make you insecure about that company, whoever owns it, and their products that they produce that you buy. Because they send you them little ads while you swipe. And you go to get something and you buy into that. While you ignore all the posts about this ethnic group of people that are indigenous to this region that are floating away in the flood. That there is no equity in the resources provided to them before the storm, so don't ask them how come they didn't leave, because the evacuations mean you have to have a vehicle to evacuate in. And the counties and the cities and the towns don't provide buses and send them to the Sea Islands to evacuate anybody. When they did do it, they sent it where the golfers live and come and visit. Like they needed a bus. When every one of them owned 1 to 2 to 3 cars. And then pick which one they decide they're going to leave with. Or take a boat, haul them on something and drive out of here. Because this is not their home. This is a second home, and this is an area to play. That has caused a great deal of displacement of Gullah Geechee people from the coast of the Carolinas, Georgia, and northeastern Florida. We ain't gonna talk about the whole rest of your peninsula and this panhandle y'all live in. And how many of the indigenous groups of people, how many of the groups of people of African descent got displaced a long time ago, because after they built what people wanted to live in and where they wanted to play, they didn't want them to stay. Unless you were working there. And then you can't live here. You can live somewhere else, but you come into work. Then we'll provide a bus or shuttle, because we want to get you in here to clean these toilets, and we want to get you in here to cut this grass, and we want to get you in here to cook in the kitchen. But we ain't going to let you be at that front desk and be no manager. Why is that? Oh, because of your accent. Really? But it's all right that somebody else is up front saying, hi, we're so glad that y'all came here to visit us. We just love it when you come to see our town. That accent was all right, but when we told them down at this show, we said, oh, yes, sir, you know you can go outdoors. And you hear that one word, that was too much for me to work at your front desk. And now, what do the tourists do? They want what's being hidden from them. So they come on safari looking for the Gullah Geechee. Where are they? I heard they're here. I heard there's this group that speaks differently. Where are they? I heard about the food they cook. I want to taste it. Can I come see them? Is there any museum that we can go to? And then they take the drive-by tour. That's where we see some buses. They want to stroll on through. They don't want to get up. But they want to be on the bus with their cell phone and a video camera out the window, taking pictures of us. And then they want to tell their friends how they stopped at some quaint little roadside stand and they got a basket. And how they now can tell them about the Gullah Geechee. No, the Gullah Geechee. Can we get that straight first? Gullah Geechee. And really, you can tell them. What can you tell them? Oh, I know all about your culture. I spent a weekend there. In fact, I wrote a book Because I was at the university at the time that I was there. For the weekend? Yes. So I did a thesis on you. Really? So I take it that you have a DR in front of your name now and a PH and a D behind it, don't you? Oh, yes. You know, of course I had to argue it. I said, yeah, but who did you argue with? Some other people who don't know who we are? Because we sure didn't check out what you wrote to vet it for accuracy. So where did you do your research? Oh, well, I did check a number of websites and I ordered some books. And what year were those books published? Oh, I mean, there were some great ones. And they started naming people. I said, oh, those are the ones that were printed in the 1930s. Thank you. We're still here. So what real field work did you do? But again, you say field to people, and they take pause. Whether it's come on out in this field and work with me, get this apron on so we can go out here and get our own food so that you ain't got to worry about no insecurity over your food because you plant your food, you grow your food, you harvest your food, you know what it's made with. You know that food that grows from the field grows with seeds in it. So if you don't have no seeds in there, there's a problem. But if you are antithetical to the word, seed, field, what? Oh no. That reminds me of slavery. I don't want to do that. The real slavery is the fact that you let other people control your food source. Scripture tells us a man or woman that don't work, don't eat. And now, you may be eating stuff, but it might not be food. It's called food-like substances. That's actually a category. And they sell it to you. And you're comfortable. And as long as they can market this to you and you still buy into it, everything is fine and everybody's all right because we tweeted that y'all are all right. So y'all retweeted it. So we're all fine. We got emojis. We're smiling. We're happy. Yes! We're not insecure. Well, keep lying to yourself while your food is going underwater. If you eat meat, the pig farms were drowned out in this last storm. Mm-hmm. If you eat meat, the chicken farms were drowned out in the last storm. But this is the same water where the coal ash went in. You think they're not going to sell that chicken meat and the hog meat? When that's hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars worth of meat? I think again. But all they got to do is make a nice commercial and show you how healthy the meat look after the storm and put it on sale. Right. So as long as they can program you to believe everything is just fine and it is the norm, that's what's acceptable nowadays. But then again, people say to me, well, y'all keep on talking about chattel enslavement, but you need to understand that was acceptable and that was the norm in those days. So, Queen Quet, why are you still coming around wearing these earphones and stuff and walking around and twerking teeth like this and things like that and talking about these teeth, y'all from Africa? You should still talk about that because you're doing all right. I mean, look, you're a queen now. But why do my people need to elect me as a queen? Because they needed a spokesperson to go around the world and speak truth to power and also translate from the outer world into our world and vice versa. And to let people know we'd have been there and we ain't going nowhere tall. Before they erase us from every book or never print us in any. That's why I started writing history books, because I wasn't finding books that reference Gullah, Geechee, unless they were in linguistic studies. And that was because people had some kind of fetish with just wanting to know how in the world could these group of Africans, with all that beating the missionaries put on them and trying to get them to speak English, how in the world did they not do it? It wasn't because they loved us and the language. Many may have made and are making careers out of writing papers about us without ever speaking to us. Because they can get the letters in front and behind their names. But what about when we say we need a letter writing campaign to stop this kind of environmental injustice against us? How about could you at least donate $1, $2, $3 to help the people make sure that we can recover and rebuild? And I love the fact that they call it a relief fund and a relief effort. Well, when will we be relieved of people trying to exploit our hardship over and over again? Do you know that Hilton Head had the audacity to not have been hit by the storm? And they're doing advertisements for a fund for Hilton Head, saying, please donate to us because not enough people came to our businesses because people thought we had to evacuate the coast, so we lost money and industry. So please donate to our fund, which detracts from the fund that we have for Gullah Geechee rebuilding for families who've been displaced out of their homes or right now are sitting there in water trying to figure out how God gonna get us out of this. Because this feels like a story that a man named Noah was in. And I thought about it and I went online like everybody else does. I'm a computer scientist. I got a cell phone, but I don't be on it 24 hours. Most times it's off. I get on the computer though. That's my drug of choice. And I remember a meme that said everybody thought Noah was crazy until it started raining. And I went and I said to Kwame the other day, that quote from that meme, and I said, yeah, I guess God showed that to me again because I'm Noah now. When I kept saying to people 21 years ago, join the Gullah Geechee Sea Island Coalition. We're fighting these land rights issues, these environmental injustice issues, the injustice of others thinking they study us for a weekend and then they become the experts on our culture and they consult for films and erroneous books that then come out and then they use those things in universities to further pollute other people's minds and tell them about something that is fictional while we're really still fighting to hold on to our traditions, our heritage, our culture, and read what's for how we kind of compete and things like that, because plainly the children can't do like this. But boy, they wish they could. I have so many young people say to me, Queen Quet, you sound like my grandma, and I wish I could talk like her. I said, why you don't go sit with her? Because she gone now, ma'am. And I wish I did. I said, you wish you would tarry a little while. Sit with me. Anyway, been telling you, yes, ma'am. So it says, I'm glad I can find you on the internet. Because even though I can't get her to speak to me no more, when I hear you, I hear her. People call their granddaddies on the phone and tell them when I'm in their cities that they can get near me. And please, Queen, this is my granddaddy is 90 years old. Could you just say something to him? I said, you want me to say it in Gullah, don't you? Yes, ma'am. And when I do, I can hear it spoken back. And I said, sir, where you at? And they're in some city somewhere where the children got them living now. And they wondered how he perked up so much, because normally on days he's sitting there quiet. They say he wasn't quiet no more after he hung up that phone from you, though. I said, because he got his lifeline back. He heard his own words. He heard his own traditions. He heard his own culture. We speak things into existence. Life was spoken back into his spirit. And that's the same thing now. Our people are speaking the fact that no, we didn't leave because we don't have no plan on leaving. We've been here 400 years on the coast. We're going to be here at least another 400 years. While everybody else feels the sky is falling, we're just looking at what blessings going to be raining down for we. And it'd be nice to have some friends help us to be blessed like that. So every now and then the wind blows somebody kind of strange in onto the island. And one day it blew in this guy named Ryan. And I had no idea who Ryan was. Ryan came bearing gifts that actually had our flag on it. And we were like, well, who this? This guy? Who this? They say he brought this, but we want to know who authorized him to do this right here. He got our stuff on it. He don't look like us. He can't be Gullah Geechee. You don't know I'm not. He said, no, but I want to join the Gullah Geechee Sea Island Coalition. I want to support the efforts that are happening because I am from the coast too. And I know what happens. And I know that it takes all of us working together. The same way that tree, if you look closely at it, ain't just a regular tree. It's human bodies intertwined, inextricably tied together. The roots are, as I said to you in Gullah, y'all might not have got that. They're just like the tree in that first song. Ye shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of the water. Ye shall not be moved. So Gullah Geechee communities right now are dealing with the water. You see the blue that's in our flag, that's for the water, because we know the water to bring we the water, going to take we back. It's also for that indigo. But you see that green, that's for the land, you see. And when you see that gold, that's for the black gold, it's for the Carolina gold, but it's also for the sun and the brighter day. So I believe when God don't smile upon we got plenty of the rest of Ryans and other rest of people like that who will come in and say, I want to sit with you beneath a tree and tarry just a little while, and yet who wanted to be and things like that, and see how I can help. Because if your culture is destroyed, if it's allowed to flood out and not be replanted, then the world would have lost something that we should treasure as an heirloom. Something that rightfully has been passed down, such as these kind of native and indigenous traditions, needs to continue to be passed down to the next generation. So the things we treasure, we don't just throw them out, we have. You have beautiful things, beautiful places that you place them in so that you can hold on to them. And so that when the next little children come along, you give them that. And you take that time for let them way back. So that when they get to be the grown folks, they can come out in arenas like this and not ever be ashamed to speak however many languages they know, the best way that they know how. But be able to come home and sit upon that porch and things like that and study their own self and things like that and crack a teeth with me and tell me what we send you to school for. And they can tell us what they learned and how we can use it to go into the future together. So I took the time to come away from coordinating relief efforts to be relieved that Florida didn't get a hurricane this year. And to be able to see who it was that wanted to see me so bad that they was all over Facebook and stuff talking about, I'm going to this. Y'all do what you always do, talk about I'm coming to something and liking it on Facebook, and then half to 25% show up if you're lucky. But it was a blessing to walk up and have people trying to get in the arena before me. And then I say, excuse me. And they turn around and say, oh, that's her. Yeah, could I go in there first, please? Thank you. But glad you came. It's wonderful to have folks sitting on the porch of your house when you get home that don't mean you no harm. That actually came to hear what you have to say and that do want to tarry just a little while for yet who wanted to be. So we got a little time left. We're going to open the floor to some Q&A, as they call it in this part of the world. And then we're going to allow you to come on down. We have books and CDs. We got to put the CDs up here. And DVDs that are for sale, the ones that you see standing, tell you about the history of the Gullah Geechee Nation. But there are also other things, novels and other things that are here as well. And this basket ain't just your dry long soap. I don't bring this basket out my house. The Spirit led me to bring it here because I know that there were many people. I got different emails saying there were people at the campus wanting to know were we all right, because I still come in, is everything okay, how can they help? But if you just want to make a donation before you leave, you can put it in this basket. Every penny counts, much less every dollar. When you're in a situation where you have, we don't know how many thousands of people right now that need help. And so don't think you can't help. We spend more than $1 for a candy bar now, right? Ain't the candy more than $1 a piece? You can't get a pack of M&Ms for $1 less on sale, right? So that used to be my candy of choice. So it amazes me when people say, I can't do anything, I wish I could help. You can! We also have tweeted, we're at Gullah Geechee on Twitter, we're at Gullah Geechee on Instagram, we're Gullah Geechee Nation on Facebook, and it's GullahGeecheeNation.com. That is our overall website. So you'll see this on Gullah Geechee TV, which you can find from GullahGeecheeNation.com or on YouTube. You'll also be able to connect with us various other ways. And we've been tweeting and posting different links. One is a GoFundMe link called Gullah Geechee Rebuilding, Storm Rebuilding. And there's another link that is also a relief fund that goes out from the Sierra Club, set us up into it, along with other groups in North Carolina, so that the funding goes to grassroots groups and not to big corporations that then keep most of the money for administration. Okay, that we can literally get things right there on the ground to the people. But if you want to donate tonight, you can. And also the items that are here for sale, the money all goes back into the Gullah Geechee Sea Island Coalition.